Oh no, my coffee's cold. Ultimate mom life. Two of the biggest misconceptions that I hear about homeschooling is that it takes too much time and it costs too much money. Well, today I'm going to talk about the second one, and I'm going to share with you how we budget for homeschool in order to keep it affordable and something that our family can sustain over the years and years to come. First, I'm going to tell you what we do spend money on and what I prioritize there. I'm also going to tell you where I save money, some things that are just completely free for us that we do and would be free for you as well. And then I'm also going to go over things that I just simply do not buy or take part in order to save money, and because I don't think it's entirely necessary. I'm also going to wrap up by telling you how much I actually did spend this year for all of our homeschool related things. Okay, so first of all, what do I spend money on? I do spend money on our curriculum. So we use The Good and the Beautiful primarily. We use that for, it's like an English language arts. It is still teaching reading and going over those concepts because my children are younger, as well as introducing grammar. It has a little bit of poetry study, and sprinkled in there throughout, it'll have like some geography and history. I do those in a different format, but it is available in there. Like, you really could just use that one curriculum, especially in the younger years, and it would cover all of your bases. That is one thing I spend money on, is the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. I use that English language arts. I also use their math curriculum. So I purchased that as well. The other thing that I purchased was a history curriculum from Simply Charlotte Mason. I do purchase books, just in general, books that I'm going to read aloud to the kids, that the kids are going to read aloud to me, books that supplement either like our history or science or whatever we're doing for that. So books is something that I do prioritize and spend money on. The other thing that I purchase is some memberships to like field trippy type activities. So we have two memberships, and I think that it would be really easy to, one, it would be really easy to try and just go do like all the things all the time and feel like you have to go and go to every exhibit and be at every event. But we don't do that. I just found two that I'm prioritizing for this year. We have a zoo membership, like family membership, and then we are just going to, like in the next couple of weeks, purchase a family membership to a museum. So we live in a really small town. Both of these things for us are about an hour and a half drive away. It would be a bit closer if we would do these kinds of activities in Austin proper. However, the location we're going to, Waco, I think it's fine to say that, Waco, where we're going, we also have family there. So that's why we made the decision to go a little bit farther away. But we only picked two things. One, the zoo is something that, I mean, yes, it can be educational and wonderful. It's also just something that my children genuinely really love right now. And then this museum has a lot of educational opportunity because they have some permanent exhibits that really go with the same time period we're doing in history this year. So that's an added bonus. Plus, there's a lot of just hands-on kid things to do there. It's really fantastic. I can't say enough great things about that museum. It's the Mayborn Museum on the Baylor campus there in Waco. Oh my gosh, I just love it to death. Okay, the other thing that I do spend money on now, this might be really silly. I will spend extra money for the good pencils. I can never say this name right, so I have to look. Ticonderoga. Those pencils, I probably still butchered it. Y'all, I will spend the extra money for those pencils. I swear by them. We got a lot of the little decorative cutesy pencils for different, like, I think they had some passed out for Halloween and some passed out for like Christmas and stuff that the kids wanted to use. They break every time you're sharpening them. They immediately break when you're writing with them. You can tell, oh, I did not know that I would have a soapbox about pencils, but here we are. There we go. I would say that the thing I spend the most money on outside of our curriculum is I really prioritize spending money on books. That's because that's just something that's a value for our family. We really believe in reading and the importance of reading, and we make that a huge priority. But we will talk about some ways that you can save money there also. Okay, so for places that I spend money, but where you can save some money, is looking for books at thrift stores, whether that's books for your read alouds, or even I find sometimes curriculum books at thrift stores. If you also look at a place like Half Price Books, I'm just remembering, I know they usually have like a full curriculum, like homeschool section. So that would be a really good place to look also. Another great place to look is Facebook Marketplace. Honestly, you can usually find used curriculums for a really good price there. You can also find curriculums that are new that families either decided to like switch and make a change in their curriculum and they just hadn't used it yet, or for whatever reason they decided not to use that. You can find a lot of new curriculums too, but that's a great place to look. The other thing, or the other place that I look for, is if I'm doing any kind of like craft, like arts and craft thing, which I'm not an arts and crafts mom. We're accepting this about myself. Science experiments and arts and crafts is not my strong suit. But when I am looking for those things, I go to the Dollar Tree. They have a huge craft section there now, and it's fantastic. And it's $1 or $1.50. So I definitely recommend shopping somewhere like that when you're looking for like little art supplies and things in that vein. Okay, now I want to share some free resources that I use, that are available for you to use, that I think are very underutilized in general. So the first one, and probably the very most obvious, is the library. Now, while I do spend more money on books, we use the library a lot. The history curriculum that I mentioned from Simply Charlotte Mason, it has suggested readings in there, like for different age groups. So for whatever little time period that you're studying, it has a list of like picture books, early elementary readers, all the way through high school, right? These book lists to go along with your curriculum. And those are kind of things that I like to source at the library every time it is possible. And then if we find one that we just absolutely love and like just fall in love with, then I go down to our local bookstore here in town and have them order it for me, and then we will have it there. Always use the library. Our library also has homeschool days. And again, we're in a small town, but our library still has a lot of events. We did go get a membership at a town a little ways away from us, not all the way into Austin, but it has a little bit of a larger library system and a little bit more resources. And to get a membership out of town, an out of town membership, I think it was less than $20. Honestly, I didn't even calculate it in my budget because, well, one, I forgot about paying for that, and two, it was very, very affordable. But they have even more kids activities. So like if you are not using your library, even if you don't homeschool, you gotta get on that. You gotta do it. It's perfect. Another free thing that we do is nature walks. And in with nature walks, I'm going to put like local parks. We spend a lot of time at our local parks and parks that are just like around our area. Like honestly, within like a 30-minute drive, we'll go to all kinds of parks and playgrounds. And we use those places just to go and play. We use them to go on nature walks. We use them to meet up with friends a ton. We do tons of meetups at parks. In fact, there's 2 Facebook groups for the area that I live in, 2 separate ones that are different homeschool, like park playdate meetups. So it's a great place to go and to meet friends and make friends and just, yeah, love our parks. And nature walks, you can do those at, you could do it in your backyard. You can do it at your local like park that you have. You can go to state parks and do it. I think there's sometimes, I haven't been to a state park in a while, but usually there's like a small entry fee there. But for free resources, like look at the trail systems that are around you in the parks and stuff. It's just, I feel like another really underutilized thing. And it's nice to get out and do that like mid-morning. And especially during the school year, like you're pretty much going to have the place to yourself. So I'll quit just waxing poetically about parks and playgrounds, but I'm a big fan. Another thing that I use that's free, I'm sorry, I keep looking down. I have my notes here because I want to make sure I got everything out for you. But another thing I use is free printables. And I find those on just looking on Google a lot. On Pinterest, you can find some, and also on Teachers Pay Teachers. Now, Teachers Pay Teachers has paid resources as well as free resources. So you can find both, whatever you're looking for there. But that's another thing that I do that's free is sometimes look for printables. I do that for handwriting. I do have like a handwriting book that goes with our curriculum, but there's free, I'll put the link in the description box below. It's a free resource, and you can like type in your child's name, or I guess anything that you want to put in there and have them like doing for copy work. And it'll print it out in that like dashed line kind of situation. I don't know what to call that, but so that they can trace it, right? So they can practice tracing their name and or whatever you want to put in there. And you can either do just the dash lines, or you can have the dash lines with where it has like the directions where it'll say like number 1, go this way, number 2, come down this way. So that's something that I utilize and really enjoy. But there's all kinds of free things available on the internet. You just spend a tiny bit of time looking at it and you'll be amazed. Okay, so some other free things that I do is podcasts. There's a lot of children's podcasts. There's ones for Bible stories, there's ones for science stories, history stories, and just fiction, fun, silly stories too. So we listen to those when we're in the car sometimes. We also do audiobooks in the car, when we're making that drive back and forth to Waco. But obviously those do come with, you have to pay a one-time fee for that. But podcasts are excellent. Also, YouTube channels. I always have, and I have these like privated playlists, and one is for science, one's for math, one's for grammar, and one's for history. And I think I have a music one too. And what I will do is I'll periodically go in there into those playlists and just add in YouTube videos that match up with what we're doing in our curriculum. So, for example, if we were learning about addition, even if one of my kids was learning about addition, then I would find like the preschool prep addition video and some Jack Hartman addition videos. And so I use that to help supplement what we're already learning in school, so that when they have some screen time at certain parts of the day, it's something that's helping to supplement those things and to be, just educational. Not that I think every single thing has to be educational, but I find that it just really helps, especially if my kids are struggling with something like grasping a concept, to have it presented in that video format. The visual learning aspect can really help to kind of make those connections and points. So I definitely like educational YouTube videos. Okay, 2 other things that I wanted to say was free museum days. You might look into seeing if y'all have that option locally. I know here, Austin, Texas does like the first Monday or first Saturday. I don't remember what day of the week it is, but the first whatever day of the month, admission to the museums, to most all of their museums, is free. So that is something that you could definitely look at and see if your community does something like that. Also, just look at other community events that are going on, even if they're not specifically geared for children. I mean, that's the point of homeschooling too, is that our kids get to experience the real world with all ages. So also just see what kind of community events you have going on in your area. There's usually a lot of free events that could be just a great addition. The last thing I want to say is, so I mentioned the good and the beautiful. Their language arts curriculum is actually completely free. I do pay for it because you can pay to get it like the color bound book curriculum, but you can also, all the way from I believe it's kindergarten through 8th grade, you can download it for free and print it out yourself. You could print it out bit by bit at home. You could go to a office supply store and have them print the whole thing and bind it for you. I mean, you have lots of choices there, but that's another way that you could save some money, is that's honestly free. So you could look into doing that as well. Okay. Now I'm going to share some things I just don't buy at all. I do not buy decorations for every single like holiday or event, specifically holiday. Um, and I do kind of think that goes along with homeschool because I think there's like an added pressure of seeing how public schools will do like these big Christmas things, big Thanksgiving things, big Valentine's Day things, right? And so we're like, oh, I have to do that too. I don't do that. I think that I just don't think it's totally necessary. I think it's fine to have some decorations out, and I do obviously decorate for like Christmas, and I put a few things out at different times of the year, but I just don't make it a whole big to do. I just don't. Another thing I don't spend money on, and I simply don't have it all, is like a fancy homeschool room setup, or honestly, any homeschool room setup at all. We use the living room, we use the kitchen table. Sometimes we use the table that's on our deck in the backyard. Just to, like, we just use what we already have and what's here. We do not have like one room that's dedicated to homeschool. I do see things online on like Instagram and, places like that where people will have like one homeschool room, or I've even seen where people put like a shed out in their backyard and it's like air conditioned and everything like that, but it is like their homeschool like class. And that's great, I guess. I don't understand why that is necessary at all. I certainly don't hate on anyone for doing that, but for me, we've always just done homeschool the way we do life, which is just in our home with the things we already have at the kitchen table. So that's something else I just don't spend money on and I don't think is necessary at all. I do not buy or keep up with having like perfect supplies. Outside of pencils, outside of the pencils that I swear by, I mean we use our crayons over and over and over and over again. And the same thing with our markers and our pencil boxes and like all of those kind of things. Um, Glue is probably one that out of art supplies, that I spend the most money on because that one gets used up and ruined much more frequently. But as far as like buying new school supplies every year, just the pencils, y'all. I mean, I bought the big tub. I'll link it below, but I found it on Amazon. It's like this big tub of Crayola crayons. And that was actually part of a Christmas gift for one of my kids who loves coloring. But both of them use it, and we've been using it for a while now, and there's still crayons in there that have barely been colored with. Like, I just made the one-time purchase and have called it good. Another thing I do not buy is like teacher planners. Now, this I think is a little more personal to me. If I just, I'm a very, very type A person, and I love a list, and I love a good plan, and I love a calendar. And with all of those things, I have not yet found it necessary to need a like teacher planner for my homeschool. Now, some people do. And if that's you, that's okay. And maybe you download a free one online. You don't need anything fancy really. But for me personally, that's just not something that I have found to be necessary or useful. Another thing I don't buy is like expensive manipulatives. So this goes kind of hand in hand with what curriculums I pick out. I don't really tend to go for a curriculum. I'm thinking specifically like a math curriculum that requires tons of manipulatives. Our math curriculum does have like a really small little box that has a few things in it, but if it requires tons and tons of manipulatives that you have to keep adding to this set over time as they learn new concepts, I don't do that. So that's something that I do not spend money on. I think the only other manipulative that I see that I'm going to need to purchase coming up is like a little clock thing, but I'm sure I can find one used, and I'm sure it will not cost very much at all. The last thing that I do not buy is seasonal curriculums. And I did kind of get sucked into this a little bit when my oldest was doing like the preschool thing. And I just quickly found that it was a pain in my backside and it was just not worth the money. So a seasonal curriculum, I see it much more for the younger years. And it's basically, well, I guess it is what it says. Like, this is our fall curriculum where we're still learning like these math concepts, these grammar or reading concepts, but it's all fall themed. And then we're gonna, continue, but now it's spring themed and summer themed or those kind of things. And that, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with my thoughts about buying tons and tons of decor or decorations, is that I just don't think it's necessary. And I think, there's other ways we can see and appreciate the changes in nature. And that's just by getting outside, which is free. Having said all of that, let's talk about how much money I actually spent this year. So for both all of the curriculum that I needed and all of the books that I needed, which is the books that I'm reading aloud to the kids, like I've already planned those out, the books that the kids are going to be reading aloud to me and using for their independent reading, all of those things. So English language arts, math, history, handwriting, all of those read alouds, I spent around $500. Now, you do not have to spend that much because, again, remember that I spend more on those like extra books. So you could definitely source those in a different way and look at using your library, and you could save some money there. Another thing that I want to just caveat for that $500 is I also purchased like supplemental workbooks. So we primarily use The Good and the Beautiful. I also use Abeka to supplement and to make sure that we're just really grasping all of these concepts. That's not something that you have to do. So that is one way. Another way that you could save money there. The history curriculum that I bought is actually going to last for 2 years. And on top of that, we will revisit it 4 years from now. So the Simply Charlotte Mason history curriculum goes in a 4-year cycle. So, we are doing early modern America, and there's 2 that come before that. And I forget what they titled them, but it's the 2 like time periods before that. I just forgot how they labeled them. You will go through those in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go back to the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just do that in a continuing cycle. So this history curriculum will be used every 4 years, and the one that I purchased 2 years worth of the curriculum. So it was a little bit more this year because I went ahead and purchased 2 years worth, and it's going to be used over and over and over, and we'll be supplementing it with books from the library. So that's something else to keep in mind when you're thinking about that $500, because I know that's a big number. As I mentioned before, the other thing that I spent money on is the 2 memberships. We spent around $120 for our zoo membership, and then I believe it's going to be $110 for the museum membership. Again, that's not required at all. You do not need that in order to have a wonderful, successful, enriching homeschool. You do not have to do that. I chose to because it is something my children really enjoy. It's also a way that we, like I said, we go and we visit family some of the time that we're going out there. It is going along with our history curriculum, so it's, really reinforcing those historical events through looking at artifacts and different like hands-on setups and things like that. So I really enjoyed that. But again, it's absolutely not required. You don't have to do that. If you were wanting to spend what I spent on curriculum, so if you were looking to spend around $500, you could save $42 a month over the course of a year, and then you would have that money ready for you for your next year's curriculum. So $42 a month, not that extreme. You would definitely make that happen. If you also wanted to add on those 2 like kind of membership things, then you would save up $61 a month over the course of a year. And by the time, your year came around, you would have that budget saved up for you to use for your next year's homeschool curriculum. I hope that this was helpful for you, both to give you an idea of what I actually spend on homeschool, and also hopefully give you some ideas on ways that you could save money, because you definitely don't even have to spend as much money as I do. You can have a wonderful, educational, rich, beautiful homeschool and not spend a ton of money. Let me know in the comments if you have any other like tips or tricks on how you're saving money on your homeschool, because I'm always willing to learn, and then we can share those resources with others as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.